Have you ever felt that you're the only one struggling to know your dream? And not just that, that this dream that you ought to know that you're struggling with is something that is big and beyond you and externally magnificent in its form, in its manifestation, that it involves changing the external world for the better, that it involves lots of money and abundance in the wealth department, that it means that you will be loved and supported and held and just flow into this magnificence and perfection, and it's just a matter of time. And you see this kind of story play out in the lives of others, and you see the filtered happy highlights that portray this story in the lives of others, and you see the media and the pressure of this story needing to manifest, or you haven't made it, and you feel that pressure in every part of your life, and yet you don't even know what your dream success story is. I laugh because this has absolutely been my journey, and it's really until recently that I was able to let go and feel that resistance finally leave. And the irony is, when we let go of all the resistance, all the fighting and pushing and striving to find ourselves in this dream and to manifest this dream, when we let it all go, flow happens. It's the funniest universal prank on us, isn't it? Or you could look at it like the small self is finally letting go and allowing source to channel through us, to be the master in our domain, to be the leader in our lives, and to create whatever that might be that's nothing to do with our own small idea of what success means. This is a journey, I believe, for all of us. And I'd like to suggest that it's the majority of us that come to this realization, that this perfect success story, whether you're a new age person, whether you're a Christian, whether you're an atheist, whether you're a capitalist, whether you're a hippie, whether I'm just putting random self-identities out there that people label themselves with and limit themselves with. But whether you're any of these things or not, this pressure to create a success story has permeated every one of us in some way, unless we've become free of all that, because it's been time for us to be free of it. And so there's no pressure again when we're supposed to have this realization, but to be free of the pressure of this story is life-changing and transformative. Now, that doesn't mean that you aren't going to go on a journey where you become externally successful and where you ride that wave of flow in the abundance department, wealth, in the external world, in the popularity, in the making a real external mark on the world and leaving a legacy in that way. It doesn't mean that that's not going to happen. But the thing that enslaves most of us when we get stuck in this dream is that we decide that we're not successful and we're not enough until this happens. And this is where a lot of people live for decades in a limbo state, where they're striving to succeed in the external world, but find that they don't have that flow. And for whatever reason, they learn or not learn that dream is not for them. They're trying to fit a round puzzle piece in a square hole, a round block in a square hole. Sorry, my metaphors are all mixed up. And so they are trying to live a life that was never destined to be theirs. And I'm talking about letting go and surrendering into your path instead of trying to fit yourself into some external value system. One of the things we do focus on a lot in my coaching and counseling, in my workshops, and in a lot of external workshops I've been to as well, is checking in to see if your values are really heart-based, are really yours, or if your values are actually reappropriated from society or culture or family and friends or belief systems that have been installed. Because your values dictate your motivations and your decisions in your life. Everything is determined by how important you make it. And if you're trying to make something important that's really not from your heart, that really there's part of you that knows it just doesn't feel like it's your own skin, then you can be sure that it's from your head. It's from some perceived belief that isn't actually true and in alignment or congruence with your spirit, with your soul. And so life becomes that fight, and life feels like that struggle, an uphill struggle, a fight. And I believe that's not really our natural state. So my realization in my life is that I'm not here, and nor would I find any satisfaction in the journey of wealth building. Now, I'm not judging someone who absolutely finds that flow in their life, and that's been their success. It's just not important to me when I check with my heart every time. I can't help it. It's just not important to me. And it is at odds with one of my fundamental beliefs, in that I will have prosperity in whatever I choose to do, as long as it's in alignment with my heart. So if I need money for a certain endeavor or in service, in flow, in alignment with who I really am, then I will be provided in a prosperous way with whatever I need. So that's where I'm at odds with wealth building in and of itself. It's not a focus for me. And so I've never really focused on that conventional success story of acquiring wealth and having the security, because that's often a big driver behind people who are making money. The most important thing is security. And if they delved a little further into what that is, often we find that it's a deep unsafety feeling being here in this world. And often that comes from childhood traumas and wounding, feeling alone, abandoned, rejected, unsafe, feeling the initial caregivers were actually not seeing the best interest of whoever you were if you are wounded in this way. And so there's many reasons that we as humans feel unsafe, but essentially this can drive our entire path in life if we're head-based too much, and if we are running away from pain. If we're spending our time running away from pain in this life, then we're going to be living in a state of fear. And fear does not live in the heart. Fear only lives up here in the mind, the thoughts that create those feelings. And so I think it's a great idea to always check in. What is your success story? And is it really from the heart? For the longest time, I thought I had to be this successful, externally successful entrepreneur. And I really could only go with what that meant externally, and I'll explain that. So what that looked like to someone looking outside of me, Did I have a huge market reach, for example? Was I reaching hundreds of thousands of people? Yes, I aimed high. What kind of income was that making for me? Was I accumulating wealth? What was my wealth portfolio? Was my my business something that would be scalable? Was it going from strength to strength? Was it attracting a whole lot of people? And is my image being the key word here, my self-identity, my image, is my image being looked at favorably? Am I being approved of and desired in the right ways? Okay. And this is often the way that people shape unconsciously what their success model is, those factors. And we completely neglect our inner world, the part that matters, the character building, the soul building, the strengthening of heart-based living. Now, if we're focusing on those other factors of external success, then we can only neglect nurturing our true self, the one that is connected to source, the one that is only inspired by source, by the divine, by surrendering and letting go of any fear or unsafety around that, so that the creation process is in joy and pleasure, not out of running away from fear and pain. So I had to kind of reassess what I thought was a success model, like all of us. I mean, I started off in my 20s in the self-development industry without really understanding my spiritual beliefs yet, without really having a holistic approach. I was just reacting to the world model I was given, and it was very much based on the mind. And so if you've been in that world of self-development that doesn't have the missing element of being holistic, mind, body, and spirit, then you'll recognize that kind of real focus on the external success model. And the big one that's thrown out there is financially free, financially independent. And so I'm just going to put it out there. When we're talking about that, when we're making that such a big focus, we're focusing on money. So we take away our awareness from our internal nurturing, our connection to source, and we try to create a plan that feels safe. Because the driver behind financial independence is often, more than not, a fear of being unsafe. So to me, that's a red flag. If you just check in with yourself, are you wanting to be financially free to create pleasure, or to run away from the feeling of unsafety, of fear? And is all of this focus in your life taking away from the magical journey you could be on that is very unique to you and to your heart's true desires? Because it's important to recognize that no two journeys are going to be the same if we are in alignment with our true selves. And they might not present externally in the way that we've been shown in the external world should be successful. I mean, we've all heard the saying that some of the wealthiest people, when you meet them, are quite miserable. So we know that this is not true. This external success model that we've been fed our whole lives does not lead to happiness. Okay. So if the driver is that you want to be a change in the world, and that's why you want to be successful, why do you have to subscribe to the external success model that our culture has fed us to be a change in the world? How about let go of the plan that you believe is what makes this successful in your mind, and allow the unlimited possibilities of what the heart can bring you when you let go and surrender the plan? And that's what I had to do. And I'm still in the process, because parts of me gets like an ad on YouTube or something, and I'm like, this little twinge inside of me is like, oh, should I be focusing on financial? Should I? There's the mind. It wants to bring in doubt of total surrender into the process. It wants to bring in doubt that you should be back in control with the small self, which is a lie. The mind will create little trips and tricks and falls along this journey of surrender. And so when our gaze goes too external and we look out at the success models and the filtered happy highlights in people's lives and the ads of success stories that are all based on an external success story, when we look at that, we just need to gently return our gaze inward and go back to letting go of all of those stories. And back to being controlled by someone else's narrative in the first place of what's supposed to make us happy. I'm sure you've all heard of the saying, chop wood, carry water, an ancient proverb, I believe. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Now, in the simplicity of this beautiful wisdom nugget, is something that we can all take away, and that is the fact that it's the ordinary that can be filled with the miracles we are seeking, with the fulfillment, with the satisfaction, with the joy for life. Heart-based living does not have an external formula based on money, wealth building, popularity, influence. If you've heard of the physics, I think it's a physics phenomena called the downward causation. As far as I believe, it's, when you are vibrating more consistently at a higher frequency, meaning that you are in surrender, which is a blissful, peaceful state of trust in source, in your predetermined pathway. Imagining that river flowing strongly and you're trying to clutch to the sides instead of just letting go and allowing yourself to flow down that river, that pathway that's yours already, that you're in already. Let go. When you finally understand that, then you'll see that it is the ordinary. It is the daily, sometimes seemingly mundane things that we do that are the opportunities to feel that deep inner peace, love, and fulfillment in your life. And the funniest thing is, through all this, if you just stop pushing yourself to stick with this successful formula that you've been fed from some external source, if you just stop, let go, and be still, and then go out and play, or go out and do something that doesn't involve the pressure of time, the future. Go out and be present. Go out and get your nails done. Go for a walk, the beach, climb a tree, do a silly painting, play with your dog, play with your cat, play with your bird, call a friend and tell them a joke. If you just stop working so hard, stop being so hard on yourself, because that's not your path and that doesn't make sense. Just let go. And this is when you receive inspiration, mighty, profound, clear inspiration. So I would encourage you to try it. Can't hurt. Now, for me, just on a side note, I realized that I wasn't going to fit into any external success model that's already prefabricated. I can't use a prefab kit in my life for success, but I already am starting to feel that success because I've let go of it, because I've let go of it, because I'm free of it. I'm finally starting to feel I'm in it. And it's not about wealth, it's about prosperity. It's a mindset of abundance. And so my true dream, when I really checked in with my heart, well, it wasn't to be a successful entrepreneur. It was to be a support, to create a happy human family, and to be versatile enough to recognize that I can be that in so many different ways, because I've been given so many different abilities and they don't fit a formula at all. And so this dream is in my heart, and I just needed to stop and be still and check in with my heart and recognize that, you know, I want to create a happy family in peace and harmony and coherence and congruence. And I see this as us supporting each other and telling each other the truth with love and compassion, by listening and holding space for each other. I can do that for others. I can do that. By laughing and joking and making sure we're silly at times. I can do that. By philosophizing and having stimulating conversation that we aren't afraid to speak our truths. I can do that. By creating beauty through art and personal expression. I can do that. And by sharing duties and jobs and responsibilities that keep things going. Chop wood, carry water. I can do that, and I can do that when I'm whistling with a smile on my face. So you see, if you're feeling the pressure and you feel this burden on your shoulders that you're supposed to be following a prefabbed formula, just stop. That's not the case. That is not true. And I would encourage you to let that go. Go out and play. Leave some space for Source to come in and speak to you personally through your heart. And you'll be able to do everything that you're destined to do. And you'll enjoy it. So I hope this has been inspirational for you. If you're struggling with this, please like, share, and subscribe, and have a beautiful, surrendered day. Bye.